It's the place where I feel the safest, and at the same time, the place that I feel I have to protect the most. It's the place I want to be every day I'm not there, but when I am there, it's a place I want to leave constantly. But ultimately, it has everything and everybody I love. So I'd like to return there as much as possible.
What makes a home and not a house, if you know what I mean?
What makes a home and not a house? Love, that's what it is. You don't necessarily need the finest furniture, you don't need the best working fucking microwave. You need like people with like good hearts, you know, to surround yourself with.
I'm not like a person that's really like sentimental, just like it's where you live. Homes are cool, you feel safe there, it's like nice. My house burned down a couple years ago and I haven't really like been settled down in one place. Every couple months I'm kind of moving around. I don't know, before my house burned down, like life was a lot more straightforward, just more of a routine, like everything was sort of the same. I guess it is nice though if there is a place that you have that's just permanent, you can always go back to and feel comfortable at. It's like nice to be around your family and like friends. It's another effect of like your house burning down, because it wasn't just my house, like my friend's house is burned down as well.
Home for me means quite a lot of things. Someone who grew up moving around the country a lot. Obviously family, big family.
I think most people would, think about their families growing up, but that's actually not the first thing that I think of. And I'm single, I live alone, which is great. I recommend that. So I think of having time off, being in my space.
Really good food.
Having my fan on.
Southern home cooking food.
On having a noise machine on.
Like, burgers.
Watching Netflix.
Breakfast.
Sitting in bed.
Hot dogs.
Cooking some food and just being alone with myself, and I feel really comforted and I feel safe.
Family, grandma, granddad, cousins, little cousins running around, everybody yelling and screaming at each other just over nothing and everything at the same time.
Like alone. So to me, that's what home means, is having those moments where I'm not working, where I wish I could just stay there forever and just relax. And that's what I think of when I think of home.
I miss a lot of my family. I miss home. I don't live at home anymore. I'm on my own now. And it's weird to think sometimes when I'm laying in bed that this is my home now, but not the home that I grew to know as a boy. Now being a man, it's a completely different thing for me. It's just, you grow up and what home means to you changes over time.
So do you think family is home?
Yeah, in a sense, you make your own home. Because it's always changing. So you can always make your home whatever you want it to be with whoever.
I always see home as a place where you have to go back to. So it's kind of like the one place, and I'm very lucky I haven't had to move around or anything, and I've had the same actual home for my whole life. But to me, that one is where it always is. It's somewhere you can go back to, somewhere that's safe, somewhere that means something to you for some regard.
So when my house burned down, it was during a big forest fire, so all my friends' houses burned down too, and it kind of displaced all of us, and it was just, we're all like at a transitional point in our lives. Afterwards, like a lot of us moved out on our own and like moved to different cities. Like everyone started having their own lives, so weren't able to see each other anymore. And usually when kids go off to college, like they'll like in the summer, winter break, they'll go home and everyone will hang out with their old friends. But like we can't really do that because our families aren't really in that same place where they used to be.
And honestly, I wouldn't trust anybody that can answer this question simply. But the best answer I do have is walking through the swamp or the salt marsh. It's different than the swamp. On the Chesapeake Bay by myself, just knowing that I can get my pants and shoes muddy and that I can take care of it and that I didn't need anybody, felt free. That felt like home.
The idea of home is not it's not your parents or brothers or sisters that you were born with. It's not the structure that you lived in that kept a literal roof over your head. The idea of home is being comfortable, finding a place, and especially people that you just feel comfortable being there. Like you can do whatever you want.
I don't know who said like you can't ever go home, but I really feel like it's true. And
I've lived all over the world, and you know, started at a young age, Laredo to Saudi Arabia to Colombia to where I spent probably about 27 years in Houston, and now I live in Austin. Despite the fact that they say home is where I lay my head at night, home will always still be Houston to me. All the tragedy that's happened in Houston with hurricanes, flooding, snowstorm now, the city comes together, and it's just a different vibe than I've felt anywhere over the world, and that's definitely what I call home.
I grew up like as an only child with my parents, like just always like wanting to leave home. So the first chance I did, I left. And you know, I've been outside of, you know, my actual home for the last 12 years, and essentially like just living out of like suitcases, like constantly on the move, scared to put down roots. So I feel like I've lost that like adult concept of what home is. Hopefully like at some time in my life I can understand like what that means and try to like get back to that. So for the most part though, you know, because you know you hang out with people and everyone kind of has a home, I feel like an outsider because I don't really have one.
Home is a place where you find comfort, a place where you're at peace. Like I said, you can have like the finest furniture, but it's not a home. It doesn't feel like home because you're not at peace. When you surround yourself by people that like love and care for you, and like, you know, like you're at peace, that's when home comes along, and not like a house.
Yeah.
But like the other way around. Yeah, you don't need the finest furniture, you need like the finest people.